You're with Brian Kilmeade.
I think they're a lot closer than they were a few months ago. I still think Hamas political and military leadership exists largely whole. A lot of their combat formations have been destroyed, but I think Hamas has been significantly attrited.
So he believes they should be downgraded, but nobody believes Hamas has been eradicated. Yet this president wants to have a 6-month or a 6-week ceasefire, and thousands of prisoners could be let out of Israeli prisons. They're there for a reason. In exchange for, we're missing 120 at least hostages, many of which sadly have lost their lives already. And guess who lives? Most of the nucleus and higher-ups in Hamas. Who on their right mind thinks that's acceptable to Israel? Eli Beer is here, founder and president of Friends of Hatzalah, Inc. He's Israel's largest all-volunteer emergency medical response organization, whose son is fighting in the IDF, who lives in both places, America and Israel, dual citizenship. Great to see you, Eli.
Great to be with you.
All right, just a little closer to the microphone would be great. First off, your thoughts about this, what you know about the bare bones framework of this would-be ceasefire. Do you think it's a good move? And what about the people of Israel that you know of?
Well, I think majority of Israel agree that in order to have a ceasefire, you need to at least have 3 things coming out of this terrible war that was enforced on us. First thing, we need our hostages back. All the live ones, and of course, us are the ones who are not alive, every single one of them. But the next thing we need is eliminate the entire heads of Hamas, including the leadership, everyone. Everyone has to be eliminated. We have to do the same job the United States did in 1945 in Europe. They eliminated Hitler and everyone else that was surrounding him. When Hitler felt like this is it, he went in and committed suicide. That's what we need to cause Sinwar and his friends.
How many are left? Most of the higher-ups are there. I know you've killed a lot of Hamas leaders.
Well, I think the top leadership is, of course, Mohammed Def is number 2. He's now number 2 to
Is he in a
Sinwar.
wheelchair?
We don't know. He's hiding himself. For many years, he's like a rat in a little tunnel. And he's just an evil, evil human being. He's like a terrible person who's his whole life was all about killing people. These are people that I saw in my own lives in restaurants, bombed to pieces, in buses, in hotels, in a Passover hotel. He planned the whole thing. This guy lives in Gaza inside a tunnel. And if, God forbid, this ceasefire comes in before these people are eliminated and killed, when the question is not if it's going to happen again, the question is when it's going to happen and how bigger it's going to happen. Right now, we had 235 hostages. If, God forbid, they get a ceasefire and they're still in power, we're going to have 1,500 or 2,000, 5,000 hostages.
They'll come back. If they survive, they win.
They win, but then they realize that they are stronger than the United States. They realize that these terrible, I don't have to describe a word for them, but they realize that if they won this battle, meaning they're staying alive after what they did, atrocities they did on October 7th, these guys are going to Europe, and then they're going to Canada, and then they're coming here to the United States.
And I'll tell you what, it's all Iran. And yet we are doing everything we can to bring Iran, I guess, into some type of nuclear deal when they're within a whisker of having a nuclear weapon. It's insane. If this is the prime minister being held back by the United States from going into full bore into Rafah, are we changing the way you're fighting in Rafah?
Well, let me tell you something. The last few weeks, I'm very, very proud that IDF, the government of Israel and Prime Minister decided to go into Rafah, although every single smart person in the world who's sitting in their vacation chairs or golfing are telling us not to go into Rafah.
And your son is one of them.
My son is an incredible young boy. He's 20 years old, my only son. And him and his friends are fighting in there. And they lost. My son lost his best friends there already. He's 7 months straight inside Gaza. And he said Rafah is a place that every single building they're going into, they're finding ammunition. Everywhere. They're finding remains of Israelis. They found tunnels everywhere, tunnels that are going between Rafah and Egypt that wasn't touched. Egypt promised to destroy these tunnels 7 months ago. They didn't do a thing. This is this is something that has to be investigated by the United States. Why did Egypt not take care of their responsibilities? My son is there with his friends, the special forces. These are like the Delta Force of Israel. My son's not afraid. He's 20 years old. This kid, 8 years ago, was playing PlayStation all day and eating pizza. This guy's a hero of Israel together with his friends. And they say, let us fight to get Israel's security back.
So Egypt knew about these tunnels. You can't say, well, these are renegade organizations. We don't know what they were doing on the border. You think the Egyptian government knew about these tunnels?
I definitely think Egypt is in it. Egypt was so angry that Israel went into Rafah, and they said, we're not going to give any humanitarian aid anymore if Israel controls the other side. For the only reason is because
they're about to be exposed.
Look, they have the Suez Canal, which they make a lot of money. This was another way of making money. All these tunnels that were transporting prostitutes from Gaza into Egypt and back and forth, transporting food and luxury cars, watches. These guys had everything in Gaza.
These are huge tunnels, then.
Huge tunnels.
Trucks are moving through this.
These guys from Egypt knew everything. They were making fortunes. Billions of dollars were coming in from Qatar and Iran and other countries, and they needed to get goods, including hundreds of thousands of missiles and bullets and ammunition and RPGs that went through these tunnels. They didn't just drop from the sky. They came from Egypt. That there is no way Egypt didn't know about it. And that's why Egypt is so upset. Why is Israel taking over Rafah? Because a lot of people will lose big businesses they have now with the transports.
So, by the way, we're talking to Eli Beer, founder and president of Friends of United Hatzalah, Israel's largest all-volunteer emergency medical response organization. Not only are you fighting in the south, you're fighting in the north. Hezbollah is bombing daily. You got thousands of Israelis forced to live out of their homes because of the danger from their rockets. That's something that's got to be addressed. But I want you to hear what Robin O'Brien said about this peace deal that was brought up and then what happens after. Robert O'Brien, as you know, has probably gotten more hostages out than any modern American diplomat, and he'll play a prominent role should Donald Trump win again. Former National Security Advisor, Cut 42.
It removes Israel from the population centers and lets Sinwar and Hamas, just like Baghdadi and ISIS were running the ISIS caliphate. It allows Sinwar and Hamas to run the Gaza. And then the cherry on the cake, and you'll get a kick out of this, it requires the American taxpayers to spend billions of dollars to rebuild Gaza after Hamas attacked Israel. I mean, the whole thing's insane.
Are you aware of that? That we're supposed to pay? The United States is supposed to pay to rebuild Gaza?
I don't get how, when someone comes over to me for a donation for a school or anything, I make sure the school is aligned with my ideology. How does America give billions of dollars?
Always.
Trump
stopped it.
To a group of terrorists who say this clearly, and they say, just look in their bylaws in their website, America's next. How could you give them billions of dollars? If Iran wants to give them billions of dollars, let them find a way to give them billions of dollars. We should not let Qatar give them billions of dollars. Qatar, and they created for their propaganda. Qatar is sponsoring the biggest terrorist groups in the world, including Al-Qaeda in 2001. And these guys are now giving money. America should not give money to Gaza. They have 140 countries who love Gaza. America is the only country who actually is aligned with Israel. Let them stick to Israel.
How about these tunnels? As you discover them, are they being blown up?
These tunnels that my son and his friends are discovering are getting blown up by the IDF. A lot of these soldiers are getting killed because they're trying so hard not to get civilians hurt. And the civilians are surrounded everywhere. The Hamas purposely put them everywhere. You see, when usually you go to war, like even between Russia and Ukraine, most of the civilians just run away. Hamas do not want their civilians to run away. They want their babies to be there. They want the children and women to lay down there. So when...
And you found your son found guns under the kids' beds, right? When you go into these homes?
The beds, the children beds, underneath them, they have RPGs. In the rooms, they have books, like cartoon books about killing Jews. These are homes in Gaza. The education starts from age 0, literally, nursing the baby to hate Jewish people. And I just want to say something that may sound like this might be the World War III against the Jews. You're talking about countries like Iran, like Qatar. I really think Qatar is in it, definitely, because they're sponsoring all this for many, many years.
Well, they house Hamas's leadership, don't they?
Of course. They give him 5-star plus. They get a massage every day on Qatar's expense. These guys are getting sponsored by Qatar to keep fighting. How could you let the biggest terrorists in the world just walk around your cities if you don't support them? I can't see the U.S. allowing the heads of Al-Qaeda walking around here, Fifth Avenue. Now, these countries, and I'm talking about Yemen, I'm talking about Syria, I'm talking about Lebanon, that America gives hundreds of millions of dollars to, if not billions of dollars, are allowing Hezbollah to just attack us for no reason. We have no property. We have no occupation in
They're just
Lebanon.
rocketing you daily.
Rocketly dating. I'm wondering, why are we bombing down their airports? Why are we letting Lebanon live a regular life when hundreds of thousands of Israelis cannot live in their homes because Hezbollah, who are sponsored by Iran, are bombing buildings and people and cars in the north of Israel?
How many people are displaced, Eli?
Hundreds of thousands. Over 150,000 are now, and now they're even making it wider towards Nariya and other cities. We in United Hatzalah are dealing now not only with medical issues of injuries and illnesses and heart attacks. We have now thousands of people who are emotionally, in the most terrible way, Holocaust survivors, 90-year-old Holocaust survivors. Yesterday we had a 97-year-old Holocaust survivor who collapsed at home. He had no medical thing. He couldn't move. He was in a post-traumatic stress. This is his second Holocaust he's going through. A 97-year-old man. You know, I'm an American. I remember my father's stories. He lived here in the Lower East Side when he was a little kid. They were begging the U.S. then to go in and bomb all the in Auschwitz and all the other concentration camp. It took years for the Americans to wake up. I am saying the American administration, the U.S. government, the president has to wake up now and support one incredible liberal country that's aligned with the U.S.
See, you're talking, I mean, you're 100% right, but he cares about his electoral fortunes, and he feels like he's going to lose Michigan, the Palestinian population there. You say one of the biggest disappointments is fighting in Gaza. This is what your guys tell you and your son relays. And knowing that we have lukewarm support from America. That's really
I want to say America was with us from the beginning of the war, but once it started getting messy, America was going one day here, one day here. You can't. Terrible. You know, I'm just telling you a thing that no one really realizes. Gaza, Hamas, which are ISIS, which are Al-Qaeda, the same exact organization, same different name. They have over 100 countries who love them and support them, which starting with China, Russia, North Korea, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and many other countries around the world, Venezuela, our neighbors here, and Cuba, and many countries who hate America, who support Gaza. There is one country in the world who actually are aligned with Israel, who believe in the same values. That's the United States of America. That's why I'm so proud to be an American. And all of a sudden now, that only one country one day comes for us and the other day comes against us. We need to have this country with Israel on this side of the table. Like I heard yesterday, Vice President Pence, he was saying something really interesting. You know, they always wanted America to be the negotiator, the fair negotiator. America should never be the fair negotiator between us and Hamas.
Right.
America should be on our side. You want to get a fair negotiator, find someone from Switzerland. He could be a fair negotiator. They are no one's side.
Is it a big deal that is it Norway, Spain, and Ireland recognize Gaza, a two-state solution, or the Palestinian state?
Well, it's interesting that this became, like when I just said, the third world war against the Jews this time. The whole world is against the Jews. This is a war against the Jews. Ireland, a country that has nothing to do with this conflict.
I know.
And they
So
decided to
what is
align
the
with...
second state? Do they have any idea the history of the negotiations? How many opportunities the Palestinians had? There's no interest there. You ask Hamas, they don't want a two-state solution. They're forcing a two-state solution on people who know nothing about the region. The people in the region know there's no such thing as a two-state solution.
And what is Venezuela? They have their own trouble. They have nothing to eat there because their government is the most corrupted
They're a
government
joke.
in the Americas. They are supporting Hamas.
Good.
All these countries like Ireland, like who are your friends? You could see who you are. And this is what's going on. That's why I'm
Gotcha.
calling upon America. President Biden did a lot of great things for Israel. Just wake up and support Israel entirely.
If you don't have a friend in bad times, why have a friend? Listen, Eli, you're doing great things. If people want to give to United Hatzalah, how would they do it?
United Hatzalah, it's easy. Go on our website, israelrescue.org. We're buying more medical supplies. We're getting ready for the biggest battle, which I think didn't even start, which is Lebanon, Hezbollah. We're really worried about what's going to happen in the last few days. It's intense like never was in the last 7-8 months. So we are getting ready to buy more bulletproof vests, the ones I'm wearing now, more medical supplies, more equipment
Okay.
to make sure every single person in Israel is safer, no matter if they're Jewish or not. By the way, we save Arabs and Jews, Muslims and Christians
Every day.
alike.
Thanks so much. Eli, I really appreciate what you're doing. You have our full support here. Eli Beer, thank you.
Thank you so much.